Boom bam pow. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to whatever this is. I'm surprised to see me here, too. Is it a resurgence? Is it a reboot? Does it matter? All these questions and less will not be answered. You're probably wondering where I've been and what I've been up to. Well, second verse, same as the first. Perhaps in my own time, perhaps never. Regardless, welcome back to this. Right now, as you can see, I'm working on a little nook of some sort. Yes, this is my mystical, magical mystery mansion. That's a mouthful. And it also involves lots of moss. Because today we're sponsored by the letter M. This area of the nook is a swamp. Because every witch's cottage needs either a deep, dark forest or a swamp. As a side note, you'd be surprised what you can do with some cheap aquarium foliage. Remember to nip off the little niblets. Because one, they look lewd, and two, I don't need them there. Measure twice, cut once. Because this tree is going in the background. Snip. I use flush cutters for this. Some people use an X-Acto knife. Not a big fan. I always end up breaking the tips off. It's horrible. So I started using the flush cutters. I have a pair dedicated to this. As some of you might know, I was quite prolific at the jewelry making for a time there, but with the insanely risen cost of silver and other metals, well, it's a disappointment, to say the least. I will most likely not be doing that anymore. So, to take my mind off of that, I took up something that I wanted to do for a very long time, which is miniatures. I'm quite a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, though I haven't tried to play it in a long time. 20, 21 years, something like that. Funny story. It was back when I was 18, knew a bunch of nerds. Still know a bunch of nerds, but I did back then too. We all thought, oh hey, why don't we try and play Dungeons and Dragons? There's like three of us, we could do something. Well, the person who was running the game was a bit of a stickler. He did not consider that wizards could be girls. So I was like, fine, I suppose I'll play a man. I don't care that much. To make up for the fact that I would have to play a dude when I did not want to play a dude, he said I could roll a d20 for my stats. Well, Lady Luck and Fate just blessed the heck out of those dice because I was rolling insano numbers. Like a 19 charisma. And other similarly insanely high stats for a level 1 wizard. We never did get to play. Just as well, I would have been trying to seduce everything, I guess, with a 19 charisma. What else do you do? Especially if you're a wizard. Or a bard. This mini obviously isn't going to be used for that purpose. It would be fun to make actual minis for the purpose, but like I said, I don't actually play Dungeons and Dragons. I do watch a lot of people play it, though. Some nips were going on off screen there. Gluing my leaves down so they stay put. Leaves are usually pretty forgiving, especially when they're flat, like those little yellow and green plants in the background. Although sometimes they can be very not forgiving, and then, well, you gotta figure it out. More moss, because of course. I don't want to be able to see the base of this. It'll just jut out and ruin any semblance of immersion I have here. Gotta pick out the little bits that didn't want to stick. Otherwise, they will stick somewhere I don't want them to. Speaking of things sticking and not sticking where I want them to, The bottom of this patch of grass is pretty flat. It's going to require some ingenuity. Nipping and messing around off screen. Come on, me, get back to it. People are waiting. Ah, yeah. Fair enough. I'm folded over this thing like a towel with my camera between me and it. Gotta stretch the old backaroo every once in a while. Do some horticulture here, a little bit of bonsai, so my patches of grass fit. You can't see it, but I am preserving just as much as possible. The little blades of grass can be reused somewhere else, and larger pieces of plastic stuff that I nip off get put into a cup for future purposes, probably involving resin art. Some more nipping going on off screen here. Some of you are wondering if I'll probably ever get back to doing Let's Plays. Well, I'm not quite sure what capacity I'll be able to get back to doing that in. I would like to, although it'll probably be in the form of, I don't know, a weekly live stream. At the moment, I don't have a computer that's capable of the sheer girth of editing power something like that would require. I'm working on it. Seems I'm always working on it. I've run out of moss and I have left to acquire more. She's shaping up pretty good so far. You're probably wondering why I didn't fill in a sky in the background. Well, you see, that's what we call a pain in the butt. I had already painted this out and sprayed it with Rust-Oleum. So, for one, more paint isn't going to stick very well. And for seconds, this is a pretty small hole, about 3.5 by 2.5 inches. Oh, I kicked my camera. Good job. Filmography, yes. But yeah, in the end, I figured, it could be all green. What's wrong with it being all green? Nothing. So, all green it is. And I add more green. Yes, some foliage. Some ferns. Yes, swamps have ferns. It's the perfect environment for a fern. Nipping off some individual leaves to give it some, well, I like to call it texture. I also like to call it flavor. Repositioning. Trying to see if I actually want it to be there. Oh, I'm gluing that in. Nope, that didn't want to stay there. Fine. Poking around with my tweezers a bit just to be like, do I want to put this there? Do I want to put that there? Planning as I go. Not that I didn't have a predetermined plan for this nook in my mystical, magical mystery mansion. But, sometimes things change on the fly. Sometimes you think something's going to work and it doesn't and it has to be repositioned and ow, my back again. I had to speed this up considerably because it actually took around about an hour and a half. The rocks, I forgot to mention, are made out of foam clay. Not sponsored by Crayola, but if they want to hit me up, I wouldn't say no exactly. I had forgotten to add detail with my paint pens. Paint pens are quite nifty little inventions. I have been having much fun with them since I managed to acquire a set of my own. They don't stick to plastic absurdly well, though, so. However, I also don't really intend to seal them. This is basically going to get hung on a wall and not touched. Don't even look at it funny. Now that I've gone off screen again, there's a nook right above it, which is my little mystic witchy tarot card reader lady. You'd be surprised how much recycling went into that. Book nooks are freaking expensive, my guys. So when I do invest in one, birthday, Christmas, what have you, I like to keep the bits. When you get them, they come in this sheet that's not quite wood, not quite cardboard, but some amalgamation of the two. and you just poke out the little bits. And then what you have left is like, I'll call it a form. But there's some really good little bits you can get out of that with a pair of nippers and an imagination. So basically, everything in the nook above the swamp, that's furniture, the door, the landing, the furnishings, the window there, the stained glass window is just a sticker and a chunk of form from a book nook. The glass bottles are made out of beads, seed beads, and fancier glass beads, crystal beads, what have you. Whatever I have on hand, really. A little skull bead. A lot of recycling goes into this. Because I like to reuse just as much as possible and see what I can do with it as a fun little challenge to myself. More moss because the moss gods demand it. Oops. Wipe that off of there. The glue does not come off of the Rust-Oleum coating very well. Probably should have used something other than Rust-Oleum, but it's my mistake to make. At any rate, I hope you enjoyed this little foray back into coming back, and have a good day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.